What's up to my HPP peeps? It is I, ABC, Human Performance Project, with your host, me, Adam Benjamin Coleman. It's where you have found yourself this morning, so welcome back, welcome. It is 7 a.m. on Saturday morning, and I just had an interesting mental process occur that I wanted to share because I think it's something that other people might find helpful. So it's the kind of stuff I try to put on this channel. Obviously, there is no filtering or preparation for this video, so excuse my puffiness and, groggy demeanor. But I woke up in kind of a shitty mood after having some kind of weird dreams, and then had some, of course, messages on my phone right away that just kind of started the tone off in a way that it shouldn't have, I guess. And lately, that's been more of a struggle for me. Like, my ability to deal with people and some of the things that they say has diminished greatly in recent days, weeks, and I don't really know why. It's kind of worrying me at this point. I'm praying about it, thinking about it, being introspective, being honest with myself, trying to see what's really causing some of this just more of a negative mindset that I don't really like to be in, because it's dangerous. It's a slippery slope for me. I don't have the luxury of just doing anything a little bit, even being angry or happy. It's either on or it's off. It's a switch for me. And I know that that's true for everyone, because nothing in life is sustainable. Not happiness, not sadness, not good days, not bad days. They're all going to end eventually. They're all going to be replaced by something a little bit different eventually, and you'll see them again eventually. They're cyclic, is the good news. So it's not the last good day you'll ever see. Even if yesterday was great and today sucks, it's going to happen again. That's the good and the bad news, right? So you have to learn to appreciate and take benefit from both, because if not, you're wasting more than half of your days on this earth. Okay, so even when things are not going well, at least from our opinion, perspective, our wants and needs, whatever, there's lots of reasons the day could be going bad, right? But in those moments when we're not getting what we want, things aren't going the way we thought they would, or the way that we think we need them to, we really have to, as my friend Jason, an ex-Marine, used to tell me, embrace the suck. You have to basically get super comfy in that spot where it's kind of shitty right now, but it's okay, because it's still life and I'm still alive to experience it. And there's still information that is going to be beneficial to me that I need to interpret and internalize and use, probably. You can't just ignore all discomfort and pain in life. A lot of us try to, myself included. I tried for years with heroin, with just all kinds of impulsive behavior, and just instant gratification. And none of it was ever enough, ever. Even when I had enough for it to be enough, it was not enough, ever. They have a saying in Narcotics Anonymous, 1 is too many and 1,000 is never enough. And that is so true, because once you wake up the beast and you start feeding it, it is always only going to want more. That is the only answer you're ever going to get, and it will want more at the cost of everything. It's not a very efficient parasite, because it will kill its host. It's greedy. It's just all of the negative things in humankind amplified and intensified and brought to an acute, usable point in a human being, and it's shitty. It's not fun, man. And it's so easy for me, anyways. It's all I can speak for, is my personal experience. It's easy for me to slip into that place still, even after being separated from those negative behaviors and replacing them with positive behaviors, and working pretty diligently at establishing a relationship with God, and working on strengthening that and making that a priority daily, and being honest with myself about what I'm putting into the world and taking out of the world, and are those things balancing out, or am I being a selfish prick? And sometimes I don't always like the answer, but the results are much better if I'm honest about them. And it's easier to fix, it's easier to recognize, and it's easier to avoid when you really start to practice something different with the intent of learning a different way of life. And again, that can apply to somebody who has issues chemically, mentally, socially, emotionally. It's all habitual. The behaviors that we find ourselves disliking and needing to get away from, they're habitual. They're things that we have to break and get away from. And they have to be replaced, or else you're just going to sit there and idle and get bored and go back to what you know, which unfortunately is usually something negative. So you have to you set yourself up for success by having successful, positive things around you to fall back on, not negative, shitty things. If you're trying to lose weight, you don't keep cupcakes and ice cream in the house. You keep good, nutritious, healthy food. So even when you want something, you can't just give into that impulse and eat it. Because usually after you do that, if you give into that impulse, then the next stage is, fuck, why did I do that? I just sacrificed a whole bunch of hard work. I was feeling good about the way things were going. Now I feel like a piece of shit because I let myself down. Because I feel like a piece of shit, I kind of want to do the same negative behavior that made me feel like a piece of shit. And then because I do more of that behavior, guess what? I feel like a bigger piece of shit. And then it's even harder to climb back out of the toilet bowl, get yourself back into a place where you're trying not to be a piece of shit, but you can be honest about the fact that you were a piece of shit, and it's okay. That gets harder and harder to do, and it's not necessary to keep subjecting yourself to. It's really not. You can do it once and stop. I didn't. I did it a million times, but you don't have to. You truly don't. Every day that we wake up, we get to decide how we're going to show up, who we're going to show up as, and what we're going to do with ourselves and our time for that day. If only for that day. But, man, when we start to depend on all the negativity, we eventually will lose that choice. No one really tells you that, but it happens. And you don't know, you won't be told, you won't be prepared for when that choice is going to be taken away from you. But somewhere along the line, it goes from, this is a negative behavior that I'm participating in knowingly and could choose not to still at this point if I wanted to it's a behavior that I definitely see as negative and don't want to participate in, but at this point I have to and don't have any other choice. That switcheroo happens at some point. And like I said, there's never like a warning sign or you have this many minutes until this happens. It's not like that. It happens, and then you all of a sudden realize it from the other side, and you're like, well, I don't want to be here. And like, oh, too late, man. You're already on this side of the line. You can't go back now. You can't be a cucumber once you're a pickle. So, yeah, there's some things that we make decisions on in life that end up being permanent or much more severe and detrimental to our well-being than they needed to be. And again, that isn't just true for drugs. It's anything in excess that throws your life out of balance can be harmful. And the extent to which it can be harmful, I think, is really personal. I think that depends on what you have to lose and what you have to gain and who you are as a person and where you stand morally and physically and mentally and everything else. There's variables, but the point is, whether you have the strongest ankles in the world or the weakest ankles in the world, jumping off of a 3-story building to see if they're going to break is not ever going to be a great idea. It's just not. Even if you win, what did you really win? So some things are just better avoided. Anyway, that's not really what I want to talk about. What I wanted to talk about is comedy. Because for a long time, my dad has told me things that I kind of just blew off. Because that's what kids do, apparently. But they're so spot on. And by the grace of God, I still have my father with me. So this isn't like a morbid, like, memorialization of the things he used to say to me. He still says these things to me, and I still don't listen most of the time. But I love my dad, and he's right. He always tells me to use my sense of humor when I get uptight or when I start to like freak out about stupid little things in the world that just happen. Sometimes they just happen. There's nothing we can really do about them. They're not going to go away. They're never going to cease to exist. It's just a situation where you have to practice acceptance and live and let live. That's really the only solution, because the other solution is get mad about it, but it's still not going to change it. And so you only change yourself by wasting energy, time, and passion that you could have put into something much more worthwhile. Much more worthwhile. But we never get time back. That's the kicker. So you have to spend it wisely. And so this morning, I woke up in a shitty mood, as I said, and I was texting with my dad, and I got to a place, I guess, where I was just kind of being a smartass about my mood and using humor a little bit, and it all of a sudden, you know, I just felt lighter, and I realized how silly it was to even really be upset in the first place, and that it was over stuff that was either other people's or out of my control. So I just need to not even worry about trying to think about putting my hands on it, because I can't fucking change it. I can't. Even if I was the most powerful, influential, special, magical person on the face of this earth, which is only half true, I still couldn't do it. You know, I still could not control other people or other things outside of myself. So why even worry about them? They're still going to exist, and they're still going to annoy me, and probably other people besides me. But that's where the humor comes in. Because I was really noticing that when I did use humor, it diffused some of these things. And by some of these things, I mean the trigger points or the ammunition that negativity, the devil, the enemy, your dark side, call it what you want to call it. The part of us that exists in every person that is impulsive, unkind, selfish, and all of the things that we don't want to be typically. This world is based off balance, so therefore opposite ends of each spectrum have to exist for there to be a balance in a middle ground of some sort. So we as humans have to acknowledge there is good and bad in all of us. The ratio varies depending on what you practice, believe, and surround yourself with. So knowing that that ratio exists in everyone, we can't really judge anyone, because we all suffer from the same maladies. We all will face the same challenges and potential downfalls. Hey, it's too early, guys. Settle down, okay? Psst. Psst. No, I'm gonna take this toy away if we can't play nice, all right? So I feel like the enemy uses things like anger, lust, greed, gluttony, the 7 deadly sins. Anything that you could take to excess, basically. Rage, anything that you can really go over the top with. I feel like that's something that can be used potentially to kind of just pull you back into the dark side and really get you rooted in that. Screw everybody, I don't care about anything, nothing's gonna go right anyway, so why should I even freaking bother? Attitude. The fuckets. That's where the dark side of life, evil, wants you to be. It's where you're miserable. It's where you're pliable. It's where you're going to listen to bad ideas and bad suggestions and not do things to better yourself and take the easy way out and do less instead of more whenever the option's presented to you, and not go out of your way to help other people and not think of others. Just be selfish. POS. But when you apply the lens of humor to things like gluttony, lust, greed, murder, rage, it diffuses them to the point where you can look at them, maybe even laugh about them, and at least acknowledge that they exist. Even if it's just on a personal level. It allows us to look at parts of ourselves and our society that otherwise are not really easy to look at, you know, and it kind of diffuses those, I think, to the point where they're, like I said, tolerable or even palatable for some people, because there's people in the world who they won't talk about certain subjects. They just won't, you know, they just won't. It makes them extremely uncomfortable and they will avoid it at all costs. And I get that. I'm kind of that way with political conversations because I cannot stand what it brings out in people. And when I hear people say, I don't like you because you're this or that, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like we have not evolved at all as a nation, because you might as well be saying I hate you because you're black or you're white or anything else. Like, it is the same thing. It's division, it's difference, it's ignorance, and it's hatred over something that you don't understand because you think it's bad, because you know shit about it. You know, like we're so afraid, if we claim that we're Republican, to admit that there might be a Democratic idea that resonates with us a little bit. So we'll just not say anything, even when it might be something incredibly important that could affect people in a way that we morally view as important or right or wrong. But indifference is just as much of a sin as taking a negative action is. You know, you can't know something or believe something in your heart, truly feel that something will be beneficial, and when given the chance to act upon it, do nothing. That's just as bad as doing something harmful immediately. You know, so people that are just like afraid to admit that, hey, I think that's a good idea too, but you're a Republican, I know. So fucking what? You know, why do we need to label everything, and with those labels just define it in this black and white mentality of good or bad and right and wrong, and you know, appropriate or inappropriate, or worthy or unworthy? Like, it's just, there is not a single fucking thing in life except for the color we create itself that is actually gray. Well, excuse me. There's so much in life that's gray. There's nothing that's really black and white. That's what I mean to say. Black and white thinking, either or, if not, then this. Like, there's virtually no place in life where that's accurate or helpful, except for maybe like in cases of like murder or rape. Like, those are wrong. Obviously, there's not really a debate over those. Consent is necessary. Like, that's what, you know, anyway, different video, different questions, but you guys get the point. Like, there's very few things in life that you can say, well, okay, we'll use another taboo topic, abortion, right or wrong. No, you can't say it's just right or wrong, because there's a lot of different circumstances under which a woman might need to find herself contemplating having an abortion. First and foremost, to have to sit there and contemplate that, honestly, when it's a life that's growing in your body, is not a place I would ever want to be, no matter what side of the fence you're on. Having to even contemplate and make that decision at all is fucking horrible, and enough of a torment. Like, people don't need to give shit to somebody who is in that circumstance when they have no idea what brought them to that circumstance. So your judgment is not needed or effective. So just keep it to yourself the next time you see something that you feel the need to like shame someone over. You can feel a certain way about something and not attack people who don't or aren't able to express those same ideas at that point in time. That doesn't make you like a better believer or anything, or a worse believer if you don't attack them. You know what I mean? Like, it just, you can stand tall and proud as hell for a cause, but that does not make you righteous in judging or harming someone else who is, in your eyes, different or not on the right side of that cause. You don't have the right to do that. Nobody does. So, you know, again, I say, like, there's really no just right or wrong, because I guarantee you that even if you do think, oh yeah, there's a right and a wrong, you just don't do that. Okay, have you ever really had to face that circumstance before? Usually the answer is no. And then if that person was really put in that circumstance, or someone that they love was put in that circumstance, their answer and attitude quickly changes, typically. So, you know, it's very, playing God or creator of any kind, however you want to call it, is not something we're supposed to do. It's not something we have the ability to do, because we're emotional. We are emotional beings. The fact that we have emotion and empathy means that we are not in a place to judge at all because of those issues. You know, like, we can't, none of us are righteous. Not one. Not the best, purest person on this planet is completely without sin and blameless and righteous in the eyes of the Lord. So, that being said, again, it seems like looking at things through the lens of comedic acceptance and tolerance, maybe making fun of instead of verbally attacking institutions or things that you see as wrong or incorrect or contradictive. You know, it's just, I think if you ask yourself, like, which person would you rather be around? A funny person or an angry person? And the angry person might not even be wrong, but still, that wasn't the question. Which energy would you rather be around? I'm willing to bet you said funny, or at least one that's lighter and not angry. I did. I don't want to be around somebody who's a jerk. You know, that's one of the main things that keeps me from acting like a jerk, or at least trying to think about it actively on a daily basis. I definitely don't always succeed. But yeah, I don't think I've ever met anyone that's like, you know what I really want to find to be around right now? Somebody who's just super negative and angry about like every topic in the world. That would just be great if we could have that right now. I've never once heard that. I've tried to offer it many times, but never once has it been requested. So, hey. Why do I even bother? Anyway, just something I wanted to put out there for the day and encourage you to try to look at life through a lens of humor. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it, just means you don't have to let it make you angry. That's all. Still leading by example and practicing what you preach is the best way to change people's minds about anything. But I'll leave that up to you because you're your own person. You get to be and act and say what you want to do. So, just like these dogs have the freedom to do what they want to do right now. Anyway, be good humans. Take care of one another. Practice what you preach. Enjoy your day. Till next time. Deuces.